I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is All the Mods 10 to the Sky. Back into some more All the Mods 10 to the Sky, and I tell you what, today, it's about time that we unlock the next tier, and we get into Vibranium. Well, of course, the next tier of the All the Mods gear, that is. Well, I mean, of course, I can upgrade my gear, or I hope I can upgrade my gear very, very soon, but that's still to yet be, well, verified, because there is quite a journey that we're gonna have to go through if we do plan on upgrading this gear. It is quite a long haul, actually. Now, it all starts, yes, with getting ourselves Vibranium. Now, this process is done inside of Ender Crafting, which we've kind of used already, but this is actually how we're going to obtain our Vibranium, or at least getting started. And it's not too difficult to actually automate, so long as you have the auto Ender Crafter and you have all of these things constantly being produced, including crystalline ingots, which thankfully we do have nether stars now automated. And to be able to make the crystalline ingots, you need nether stars and all of these other materials. And today I definitely want to get this automated, and it's actually perfect. We have 7 individual crystals here, 2 of the uraninite ones, but we do have basically all of these are just 7, which is perfect because that is what fits exactly in this setup that we just used last episode. So we can have 7 of these perfectly in here, and we're just going to collect the shards themselves, and we can use that exclusively for automating the setup in the Ender Crafter. But something that we're probably not going to be able to do today is honestly use this in a reasonable way. See, to be able to actually use this, we do need the smithing template, and that's where things get a little bit more complicated. And that's because the Vibranium smithing template here, well, to be able to make it, does use the All the Modium smithing template, which we could go about it with this recipe for now. But if we wanted to actually duplicate the smithing template, which for some reason uses all the Modium ingots to do, well, we would need ancient stone, which is technically cheaper than using the Vibranium. However, the ancient stone here is very interesting. It requires soul lava, and to be able to actually get soul lava, we have to, well, use a warden, and we have to use a laser drill on it, which the laser drill is a high-end part of the industrial foregoing operation. So yeah, essentially mid to late game for industrial foregoing. Now, don't get me wrong, all of this is good, and getting the template, I mean, we could definitely do it with this recipe for now, as in duping these are not that difficult to do. So for now, yes, we should be able to get to at least Vibranium tier. But I do want this automated. That is going to be the main goal today, is getting Vibranium automated, because we are going to need quite a bit of it if we want to ever complete the All the Mod Star. And speaking of All the Mod Star, all of these blocks that you see right here are basically the building blocks that make the star, at least for what the recipe is at the moment. And there is a lot going on there. I mean, a lot. Oh, I almost forgot to ask you guys today, like, since we're going to be focusing on automation a little bit more today, what is the automation setup that you are most proud of? I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below. I love reading those. All right, anyways, let's get on with today's video. Some of the main mods that you can look forward to seeing me get into very, very soon is going to be Auratech. Auratech, we have to dive quite deep into, honestly, to be able to get the Manhattan module, but it should be quite a simple process given that we have Applied Energistics at our disposal. And outside of that, we have Create, very simple, not very much you have to do for Create. You have to make a precision mechanism to make this, which is very, very easy. And we do have to get into in-game Draconic Evolution. That is probably one of the bigger and more grindier parts. And then we also have to do basically in-game Ender IO. Getting the sentient Ender is something that can be tedious to actually automate. But I probably will recommend doing this in a batch. But yes, we do need Enderman heads for this, and we will need vials filled with witches, which is a big process in itself. We're gonna have to dabble a little bit into occultism to be able to get the soul gem. Everything else is not too bad. We do need to do all of actually additions, going through all of the automation steps that we're gonna need to do for that. And then we've already done Powa, which is good, so that is also a requirement, and we can now easily make nitro crystals. And I almost forgot to mention, yes, we are going to have to do all of the paradox things for Just Iron. We have to at least make paradox, which means we are going to need to automate time crystals, and that means time fluid, and also probably automate all of the alloys in some way, whether that's bees or what have you. And then we have, well, the good old classic mechanism. And we are going to need antimatter pellets if we do plan on, well, doing the end game. All of this in good time. Just keep in mind, it's going to take some time. And I do want to try my best to explain all of the steps along the way. That is kind of what I enjoy doing. Now, of course, if that's something you're interested in, please don't forget to click that subscribe button. You can, of course, find it down underneath the video and give it a good boop. We're getting very, very close to 700,000 subscribers. Now, back to how I'm going to automate the Ender Crafter. So, to be able to do this is also some steps in itself, because if we want to automate this process, well, we're going to need an auto version of this from Extended Crafting. And to get the auto version, we are going to need these redstone compounds, which is very, very simple for us to get. The luminous essence, all of this is easily automatable, and also the black iron, which is just black dye. But what is a little bit more challenging is getting the crystallith component. I think I'm saying that right. Crystallith. Crystallinith. I think I'm butchering that for sure. But we do need this ingot right here, and this is made inside of an elite crafting table. Now, if I wanted to automate this process, we would need the auto elite version, which also needs these components. Now, thankfully, we do get 4 each time we do this craft, which is not too bad. And I'm hoping we can auto complete the craft. Otherwise, it's going to be a back and forth constantly looking at this recipe. And it's going to be even harder considering there is not a bookmark. So it's going to be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But we also got to think about speed. So the way we actually speed this up is by adding more of these Ender alternators that are around it. And they can be within a 7x7. I think last episode I said a 9x9, but it's actually a 7x7x7 with this in the center. So a cube of 7x7 by 7, and then, yeah, this guy right in the center. So the goal would be to fill that entire space with these Ender alternators, and that would maximize the speed, but that's probably going to look really ugly. So we're going to have to figure out a solution for this, and maybe put it into something like as a showcase. I'm not sure exactly where to put this. They do take up a lot of space. Now, a lot of this is going to be simply making crafting recipes for quite literally every component. So I've got to go through all of this because we've got to get up to the elite tier, which means we start with the elite core, right? I believe like the basic elite table is going to require the advanced, and then that's going to require the basic, I believe, the basic. And so, yeah, we've got to ramp that up. It's just a lot of auto crafting recipes that I'll probably only use once. And speaking of patterns, by the way, yeah, all of these that are in here are all of the patterns that are kind of required to progress through. So after doing all of that, the ultimate crafting table should be the first thing that I need to get made up. And this should happen pretty darn quick. Yeah, I mean, it does have a lot of these black iron ingots to make, but this is pretty fast. I don't even have acceleration upgrades in our actual crafters, so I mean, this I think is doing a pretty decent job for not having those. There it is. So this table shouldn't require anything special. It's just a really large crafting table. Now, technically, we really only needed the elite to be able to do this, but I figured might as well make the ultimate crafting table considering that it works in both. So yes, we can use either this one or this one, doesn't really matter. Right now, I just got to get some diamonds, lapis, gold, iron, and some nether stars and just have them in my inventory. And with all of that, oh, perfect. We do have a move item button, which makes the process of getting these moved over so much easier. And I think with this now allows us to automate this. And let's see, the crafter here, I have all of the required ingredients and all of those things were made. So now we can turn this into an automated version of it. Yes, all 4 of those. And now we have a auto crafting table. Now, by default, it may not look that much different, but we do have a few different recipes that we can apply into the ultimate, it looks like. And I think we have to build out the recipe, and it like takes the items. It's been a while since I've used this mod, but it takes the items and sort of holds them into place. Just like this. And I believe we shift left click to save the recipe. So like if we have that in there and we shift, that is now stored. and we can now see that that is available. We got to give it some power, but I think if I remember correctly, it takes the contents for the actual craft from the inventory that is above it. And then I think you can, for example, hopper out the product from the bottom. And this is something that we've got to keep in mind, because one of the things I do want to automate is going to be the crystal lineth ingots. I think I'm butchering that. You know, I fixed it. I searched it up. It's crystalline. Crystalline. I don't know why I was butchering that so bad. I'm gonna blame dyslexia yet again. It strikes again. So now what I hope I can do here is take a pattern provider, for example, and we set up a barrel like this that is going to be on the top, and then the pattern provider is going to send into this barrel, and then we'll use an importer to pull the products back in once they are finished. And AE should be able to handle this with no problem whatsoever. And with pattern providers, by the way, we can store them in here like this, and we can make them nice and small and compact for situations like this. Now I'm hoping to easily get this placed in here. I could do something like this. We need a few diamonds. I just want to do one. That will shift right click, and then that should have this recipe stored. And then as far as powering it, just a point should work. And there it went. Okay, so it did do the craft. Now I don't have the pattern in, but the importer is pulling out. Now we just got to make sure that it can actually pull from the inventory above it. And hopefully that is actually how it functions. So I'm going to throw these items in here. And is that how it works? I mean, it should work that way. Ah, yes, it does auto pull. You just have to actually select it once everything is ready to go. Okay, and then now we can see it is actively putting all of the ingredients in and pulling from the inventory above. And then it is crafting. That is what I want to see. Okay, so yes, it does work the way I remember it working, which is always good. So yes, after you do define the pattern, make sure to select which one you are actively trying to have auto craft. Which is interesting, because that means that we're probably going to need to have multiple of these set up in an automation fashion to be able to do this, because it doesn't look like you can just have all of them function. You do have to select the ones you want. And as you can see, it did pull the ingredients. So that's good. That's what I want to happen. So I am going to pull all of these out, because we need to make sure that our pattern provider, when we send this and we send this request to be crafted, we want to make sure that it only sends like one batch at a time. That's all we want it sending. So to be able to do this, let's make our pattern real quick for this. It is a rather large pattern, but all of these items are just going to go in just like so. And we build our pattern, and then in here, we need to utilize locking mode. I think that is just going to be the best way to do it. And we'll lock craft until primary crafting result is returned. This is good, but I'm pretty sure we have to return it back into the pattern provider. So this might completely change the way I intended this automation to work in the first place. So for this, what we could do is use an AE subnet to then send the items back in, or we can just use an item pipe or what have you. Now, I will say, in my opinion, it has always worked better for me if I just simply used like a little subnet. So to be able to do this, we have our importer on here, and our cable, we do want it to be carried up to this. But what we're going to need is a storage bus on here. But we also want to make sure that we disconnect from the main line. To be able to disconnect from the main line, we can use quartz fiber. And this is still going to provide power to this network, which is kind of what we want, but we want this to be on its own line. And by putting a storage bus on here, we give the importer somewhere to send items. And so what it's going to do is it should pull the item out and send it back into the pattern provider, making the pattern provider happy and making sure it will allow another set of recipes in because it did receive the item back. This is pretty important. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you do use this in scenarios like this, you want to make sure that you use a setup similar to this. Now this still is going to need power, and just for right now, I'm just going to throw on this ugly point onto the side for now. But this, I think, is ready for automation. So let's do extended, and then here's our crystal. Let's request 10. And then that should only send one batch at a time. That immediately went in, just like you've seen there. And then it's returning all 4. And once all of them are back in, we should see a new batch go back in. Oh, that is beautiful. And that is exactly what we want to see. However, I don't know why extra lapis has spawned in here. And I'm unsure if that was from just earlier or what. I'm not actually sure why there is excess lapis. We might have to still clear that out. I might have just missed it. Yeah, I think it's just a little extra that was left in there. But there we go. Perfect. So now that we have that done, it's time for the Ender Crafter itself, well, to now also get a major upgrade. So that way we can do those crafts inside of the Ender Crafter. And voila, the Auto Ender Crafter. And I assume it's going to work like the exact same way that this one works. And with that in mind, I was like, man, maybe we could use like an entangled block, but I'm not seeing the entangled block in this pack. So I don't believe it is currently in here at the moment. So instead of an entangled block, there is actually additions, which does have a phantom block, which essentially does the same thing, a phantom interface, which would allow us to probably access it. I just don't know if it functions in the same way. And I don't even know if, for example, the other method would work either. Because this does need, like I said, the inventory above it, and it needs to detect that there's an inventory above it. So the phantom face may not even work. I don't know. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to forgo the idea that I originally had by building a giant cube and completely surrounding it. And in this case, I am going to leave a hole in the top and a hole in the bottom so I can run some piping through it, but keeping everything else potentially surrounded. So, and that way we can make this as fast as possible. Like that's my goal, is to get this up and running. And so that way it is pretty darn quick. Now let's take a look here. The Ender Crafter, where am I going to put this? It's going to take up a 7x7 space. So I want to keep that in mind. And I think I want this roughly in the center of the pad here. Which, I mean, the center of the pad is right about here, I think. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but it is going to be right here. And I think we have room. Oh, wait, no, we don't have room. I was going to say, maybe we have room to kind of clear this out, but I don't think we do. You know what? Right here might be the spot. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would make this the center block for the whole setup, which means it would be right about here. And you know what? I think that is about as close to center as we're going to get with this shape. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this side. That is going to also extend over here. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And same on the outside, going out 3 blocks. And yeah, this is how this is going to look. This is going to be a pretty large thing. Now, the cool part is once I actually get the thing built and we ever want to move it, cut paste gadget, probably going to be the easiest way. You just straight up move the whole thing. And so I'm not super worried about the permanence of this. Like I have a feeling that it's going to be pretty easy for us to move this if need be. But there we go. So that gives me the idea of where the actual crafter needs to go, which is going to be right here in the center. So perfect. There's where the auto crafter is going to go. Has the same interface. It does need power, and it is going to store a recipe inside of this slot, and we have to select it just like before. I think, however, where this is going to differ is I'm not going to be using a pattern to request craft this. I actually am going to have this constantly crafting. And I think the best way to do that is for the inventory that this is pulling from to just simply be an interface. That way I can define the items needed in here, all like 8 of them, I think it is. It's 8 of them, I believe. And this is going to pull right out. And then we need some sort of piping solution to then just send it back into the interface. Yes, modular routers to the rescue yet again. And I believe this is going to be quite simple. We're going to have a puller module that's going to pull from the top of the machine to pull into its buffer. And then we'll have a sender module that's going to send it back into the interface. And we won't even see this process happening because we probably don't even need any upgrades on here, assuming that this isn't going to be super fast. I still need to power it, however, and modular routers, we could do that, but we would also still need to power this some way. We do have access to Just Dire Things, and it can technically wirelessly power stuff too. That might be one of the best options. Well, I mean, to essentially maximize this, in my opinion. Or you know what? Since we're going to need to use up this space anyways, how about we put like a point on the bottom to charge our modular router so the modular router can carry the power into our crafter. And then up here, we can save some space by not needing AE cables up in this top spot, and we'll just use a wireless connection up here. Now, to allow the modular router to use power, we just need to put some energy upgrades in here. We can also use like a point point to give it some power. Grab that real quick. And then underneath, I'm going to power the actual block itself. Doesn't need to be anything crazy, but that's going to get powered up. And then there is a card that we can use to send power out. Yes, an energy output module. That should be just simple there. One. And then I think on this, yeah, we just basically define it just like anything else. We're going to say, hey, I need you to send power up. It's going to do that. And I don't know how much power this is actually going to need or use. So we may need to put some acceleration upgrades to be able to make the power sending faster. But yeah, as you can see, it is charging the blocks. Now I got to get the wireless setup up here. So I'll just slap my connection on down here. Let's get our connector. Let's see, wireless setup kit. Beautiful. That is in place. Pop up here and then jet myself back up. And we are just about ready to go. So now that has power. We just need to define the items that need to go in here and then surround the whole thing. But I'm missing something at the moment. I don't actually have any of those crystals. So yes, I'm going to need to make another one of these. And while I'm at it, I actually want to get all of the other Geores set up that I don't currently have processing. And I do want that setup running. And what I'm thinking here is we have 7 of these. And then to finish this off for the rest of them, we can do the 5 and then 2 more. And that way we'll have 3 uranium, because uranium is something that does get used quite a lot in mechanisms. So to keep it with fizzle fuel. So I'm assuming it might be best if I also have more of those. So we need 2 sets for this. We're also going to need the one that is going to be making this material. So that's 3 that goes in the wall. And then we'll have another one that is going to be for something else that we might need in the future, probably. So now I just finished up making all of the individual Geores, which I will say does take quite a bit of time. But if you use the hopper method, it does make it quite a bit easier to get it all done. But essentially, I have all of them listed down here. I'm going to start with this one, getting them all placed in. This is going to be like lapis and stuff. And these all just need to be smelted. There shouldn't be anything special that we need to do with these. We just need to make sure that they are running and they're good to go. And this is just going to be all of the remaining Geores, and we'll have all of them base automated with at least 1 for right now, which is really fast, honestly. And now I still don't know what I'm going to use this one for, but if we have any other Geores that we need to have constantly running, this will be a good slot for those in the future. For right now, though, this is going to be what powers this whole setup. So this just needs the quartz, it needs the iron, we need a gold one, we need a diamond one, and we also need an emerald one. And all of these are going to be farmed in their base form. So we got to make sure to not put auto smelt on our pickaxe. Got most of these set up. This should now be ready to rock and roll and start collecting those resources. And then same over here. And is everything collecting? It looks like it for, yep, that is collecting everything it's supposed to be collecting. And then over here, I think everything should be going. It's getting really loud in this area though. But this one is interesting. Oh, I didn't set the speed. So yeah, we got to get this all the way down to 5. Oh my goodness. And then this one up here, I have everything on here, just the hammer mode. And that one is now rocking and rolling as well. Time to expand my sound filter because this is awful. Oh, no, that's so much better. Oh man, the sounds was getting really bad, but this is going to be producing so much. Like yeah, way more than we're probably going to be able to process because I just don't see this being fast enough to keep up. But this is really all we need, right? To be able to do this, that, and also these crystalline ingots. Now, yes, this is automating in this form, and eventually you probably want bees to do all of this. It'll be a whole lot easier just having bees constantly running. But I did want to challenge myself with automating with this sort of setup. So now let's go ahead and try this out. Let's take all of these and we should now be able to craft vibranium. We lock the recipe. So the recipe is now locked in. And then we just tell this that we're providing all of this, and we can put a crafting card in here that will auto request craft the crystalline ingot. That should be everything. This right now is crafting vibranium. However, we've got to get so many more of these alternators in, and that's where I think I'm going to tear them down, and we are going to lay them out from the ground up and build this all the way up to a 7x7 around this thing. I can already see this being super bad because of all the particles it emits. Oh man, and whenever we have this whole area filled with them, all of them are going to be emitting particles like this. Yikes. But before we do that, let's now take out our Vibranium ingot. We have it before the quest book has even been updated to support it. Oh my goodness. Oh, or maybe the quest book does have it in there. Where is that located? I didn't even see it mentioned in the quest. Ah, it's mentioned under the armor tab. Very nice. Okay, real quick though, we do need to put all of these items in. Just like so, like this, and like this, and like that. And then I think that is it. Then we also just need the crystal ingot. And then this I am only going to set to keep one in stock at a time, and then pull the request for the crafting if need be for this one thing. And then each of these we can say keep one in stock. Like honestly, we really only need to keep one in stock. So yeah, we'll do that, except for, I believe, Uranite, which does need 2 to complete. And just to make sure this works, okay, that is going to fill up until it has maxed out. And then the last thing it is going to require is going to be the middle ingot here. And then we should be ready to go. And there we go. Perfect. And yes, when it runs out, it is going to request, but yeah, it's going to be as slow as we have this going. We should see this performing crafts, which it is doing now, which is perfect. Now, hear me out. This is already relatively quick, and all I did was just add a top and a bottom to the thing, and that is already fast. I haven't even like covered the extent of what could be covered here fully, but there we go. So now that is maxed out as far as the top and bottom grid, but like I said, we could quite literally fill the entire thing with these. I just don't think it's necessary, but for the lulz, it would be kind of cool to see what it looks like. I've already almost got this whole thing filled in, and I'm almost sure that it is going to be so much faster than I currently have the ability like to craft the crystalline items. I just don't think the crystalline items are going to be able to be crafted fast enough to actually keep up with this thing. Because this is kind of it filled in like the best that I could without having them all facing the same direction. This thing is absurd, honestly. I was trying to think, is there a way for me to get in here? And I'm thinking maybe the shrink mod might be the only way that I can actually get in. Yes, to see it in its maximum speed. Okay, so as soon as it gets a crystal, how quick is this thing? That's blazingly fast. That is very, very quick. And I'm wondering, why do these even hang in here for that long? So yeah, this crafts it essentially as fast as it can. I think that we are now producing Vibranium faster than I am producing all the Modium. At a really quick pace here. This is ridiculous. Now, I honestly think this is like a little more than the whole thing. Like it seems like it's just about as fast as it was earlier. And I feel like there is a point at which this doesn't really matter anymore. So what I'm going to do is actually remove the middle layer. So that way it's just these 2 top layers. And I think that's going to look better. Yeah, I am really getting like the fact that there is some diminishing returns in speed going on. Oh, and that just looks so much cooler. And we can see all of the ender particles emitting. I don't know if they're emitting whenever they're directly placed next to another one, but yeah, we see them like being generated here. It looks so cool. Now, I do want to go with that iron aesthetic that I've been going with a lot of the other parts of the main infrastructure. And I want this to look like it's being like supported by the industrial iron here. Like that's going to give it a really cool looking vibe. What a crazy room here. And some other things that are also kind of crazy. The fact that just while I was building this setup, this has already produced more ingots than our entire sieving setup has produced throughout the entire time I've been playing. Wow. This Geores setup is just ridiculous. But there it is in all of its glory. That looks fantastic. It's doing its job. Here in the future, if we need to shut it down, it's super easy to shut down. We can quite literally remove the interface, or we can let it build up and just remove the puller card, so that way it no longer will pull anymore. And that would also stop it. So, I mean, honestly, pretty decent centerpiece. I added some steps on the top to make it look like it's connected up there and everywhere else. I mean, it's just a nice little hanging aesthetic. inside of the center of a room. Now, some things that I still need to get done. I still need to upgrade all of these reactors to the highest tier so that that way we'll be producing, I mean, close, let's see, 1, 2, about 3 million RF per tick, which is going to probably move us all the way through mid game into late game, I would assume. But I mean, this is great. So we have one more thing left to do, right? We should go ahead, and now that we have this tier, we have Vibranium, we should use it. And we should actually make ourselves our template. Now, I definitely want to upgrade this, so lots of netherite needed, like lots of it. Thankfully, we can make so much. We have infinite netherite. Have you ever seen this much? Like, we can make netherite beacons for days. Now, let's see. Do we have enough vibranium for this? We're going to need at least 5 of these templates. And this is what we're going to need for that. So we do need the all the modium template, and we need all the modium. And there we go, Vibranium, and we have all 5 needed, so we can upgrade our spellbook and also upgrade our gear. And we also need Vibranium. Oh, this is going really, really well. I am just surprised by how fast that goes. I wasn't expecting it to be that fast. I've never upgraded that far. Like, it's only in a pack like this that would really allow you to experiment like that without just doing it all in creative. All right, so let's do this. We are going to go from yellow to green. Oh boy, here we go. And Vibranium, by the way, the level and everything, like our armor goes all the way up really, really high. We now have 325 max mana. We also get a buff from 6 to 9 on the mana regen, and our spell power goes up even more. Our total max health is going to go up because our new tier is going to be all the way up to tier 6, or sorry, tier 5. On our highest slot. So all of the things that are inside of our gear are going to be increased as well. We're going to get higher vitality. There's just so much more. Speed is going to go up. Like, knockback resistance is going to go up. Everything is just going to be increased because of doing this. This is fantastic. And this is some of my most favorite gear, by the way, in all mod packs. Like, I really love what they did with this, and it has been a really fantastic journey. Now, last but not least, we got to do our spell book. And beautiful. Now our spell book is leveled up. We have this leveled up. We're going to have even more extra health. And I haven't even started enchanting this gear or anything. Oh man. And we also haven't done any of the apotheosis stuff. We have a lot. There's so much to do. Also, by the way, I should probably activate the ascent difficulty since we did unlock it. Yeah, might as well turn that on. Yeah, we can always decrease it if we think it's too difficult, but I really don't think it's going to be too difficult. But what do you think of my new swaggy gear? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you like this color? Do you like the all the modium version, or do you like the unobtainium version? Like, what's your favorite color of this gear? I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below. But I think today was a success. We got all of the stuff for extended crafting kind of automated. We also automated Vibranium, and we automated the rest of the Geores. And we even have space over here for any specialized Geores that we want running in even larger quantities. Like, if we, for example, want even more redstone, we could probably set up another redstone one, even though I think we're generating redstone quite quickly now. But who knows? In the future, we may want more uranium. I don't think so, but because I think this is so overpowered for anything I could possibly use anything for. But I mean, at least we have it. Imagine. I mean, I guess we could use this for Certus quartz. Then we'd have more Certus quartz than I would even know what to do with. Or amethyst. We could really do anything there. But I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully you'll learn something new. Big stuff we're going to be doing in the next few episodes. We've got to get into Industrial 4 going and several things. There's some really cool extended add-ons for that mod, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to explore those with you guys. And so, if you did enjoy, click that subscribe button, you know, this thing right here, if you haven't already, and give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. I do appreciate it very, very much. And without further ado, it's time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Neos. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and just supporting this content in one of the best ways possible. You absolute boss. Getting access to the supporter servers, world downloads, and all kinds of other fun perks. So be sure to check out the Discord if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. I hang out in there all the time, and I would love to chat with you guys. So be sure to check it out. Link down in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching.